The cool thing about Photoshop is the fact that you can change the seasons and create more attractive looking pictures by taking a background like this, a foreground like this, and you can see it's got lots of exposure problems which we're going to fix, and it's also got some very challenging selection problems like this fluffy hair in the corner here and this fine semi-transparent section of hair like so. But thanks to things like refine edge and layer masks, we can composite the shots together and create a nice blurred background so that the background looks like it's shot with the same lens as the foreground, and we can also keep those fine hair textures. If I zoom in, you can see that they're still visible, and it's very difficult to select these using normal selection tools like the magic wand or quick selection, but we can refine our selections to perfection with layer masks and the refine edge tool. So if I shift click on these two here and then drag them into the Photoshop window, they'll open up in the camera raw editor because they're digital negative files. Then we'll click on this shot here because it's got the most problems. So let's start with reducing the exposure to minus a stop, because then you see there's lots more detail appearing on the girl's face. We can also warm up a cold temperature to make it match the warm background autumnal scene by pushing this roundabout up to 8000 degrees Kelvin. We can also add some colour to her cheeks by pushing saturation up to around about 10 or so, maybe 12 should do the trick, and if you see the before and after, you can see there's a huge difference already. Let's just click to zoom in and you'll see we've also got some pimples, which this tool here, this spot removal tool, will sort out. If you just click and drag, make a little circle, the green area fills the red area with a clear patch of skin. Click again and keep on clicking until you've got rid of as many pimples as you fancy, just to tidy up the shot a little bit. Okay, I'm now going to go to background before, and I'm just going to warm up the colours. Click on here to add the basic tab again, drag saturation. Actually, we'll go for vibrance this time because there's already some very rich colours, and vibrance brightens and makes the weak colours stronger without blowing out the already strong colours. So it's a selective colour adjustment. If we take that up to about 30, then that should do the trick nicely. Then we're ready to shift click to select both shots, click open images, and we're into Photoshop standard editor where we can start to make our selections and combine the shots together to create our autumnal scene. Now, as we shot this with a very wide aperture, we've got a lovely blurred background bokeh effect, and we can turn this shot here into a blur as well, so it will fit in our model's shot by blurring it using a filter. So go to filter, blur. Lens blur will give you a nice accurate camera blur. If you set the shape to octagon, radius to 64, blade curvature to 21, and if you pop the threshold up to 241, brightness to 6, you get a nice blurred background which will then sit nicely into our main shot. Let's just apply the filter now and you'll see in more detail in just a sec. And by applying the filter, we've got some blown out highlights which we can patch over very quickly with the lasso tool. Just click and select that and then quickly scribble around the selection like so. Go to edit, fill, and you've got the new content aware fill which will analyze the picture and find suitable pixels to place into the area we've selected. So just click OK and then Photoshop will do the thinking for you, so you don't have to make a selection and copy and paste it. It does it automatically. Control D to deselect. Now let's go to portrait before and make our selection using the quick selection tool. So click here, click on this icon to start with and start spraying over the girl to try and select her while avoiding the background, and you will end up with some background selected, so I'll just show you how to roughly select all that bit of hair there. Okay, here we have a bit of background we don't want, so choose the subtract from selection icon, click and spray and go down to around about here, and then you might try and add to selection just to try and get a little bit more hair like so. You won't be able to get this fiddly bit on the far left. Let me just zoom in and show you. You can see how fiddly it's going to be, so try and do your best without actually getting loads of background in, and I'll show you how to refine the selection to add these fiddly bits. So to refine our edge, let's click here and up pops the refine edge window. Now you can set it to different view options like marching ants. There's the selection, so when you modify the selection or refine it, you can see the marching ants change position. But overlay is quite handy because that shows you the selected area and the unselected area is in red. So if you want to actually just double click to apply that, you can then use the zoom tool here just to zoom in and have a look at problem areas like this fine detailed hair here. Now what we're going to do is use the smart radius tool, set that to about 5.6 or so, and that will then try and spread out around the edge and try and find edge details more effectively than it would. You can see it's already softened a little bit now, and then we can also add another tool to this. We can grab this tool here, which is the Refine Radius tool. If you start to click and try and spray to add things like the hair to the selection, then you will begin to improve this very fiddly edge here. So you can kind of fine tune the edge and it will automatically try and do a better job. Now it doesn't immediately look like it's got this problem here, but when we click OK, hopefully you'll find it has added that to the selection. Let's just hold the spacebar down and go and try and refine this selection. Here I can increase the size of the radius adjustment and just click and spray around this area. Now this is going to be quite a fiddly section to do because of the very similarity in colour between the background and the hair, but we can fine tune it again using layer masks later, so it's not going to be perfect. We're just fine tuning our selection in steps. And we can also adjust the edge by making it smoother and less juggy by taking this up to around about 16 and give it a gentle soft feather to help it blend with the new background. If we take that around about up to about 1 pixel or so, and then click OK. And at first glance it doesn't seem like it actually has made the selection to include the softer hair details like these ones here. So what we need to do is double click to unlock the layer, click OK, and then add a layer mask, and that will make the selected area solid and the unselected area transparent, and you'll see a much more delicate edge selection than you thought was actually there. What we can do then is just pop to the other shot, Control A to select all, Control C to copy, pop back again, and if we Control V we can paste it into this document and drag it below the model, and you can see we've got some of the finer, more subtle hairs showing up around the edge there. Let me just hit the tab to get rid of the floating windows. This area needs a little bit more tidying up, but the edge now is a lot better than it was, and we've protected some of these finer hairs. Once you've made your layer mask, you can modify it by clicking on it, grabbing a brush tool, set the foreground color to black, and set the size to around about 60 pixels for the brush tip. And then if you spray that black soft brush tip around the edge, you can soften the selection and make parts of the edge semi-transparent because it's a nice soft edge, and you can just gently tidy up any problem areas. Let me just take that bit out as well. Now even the Smart Radius tool couldn't work out where the hair ended and the background began, so what we'll do is use a white brush on the mask just to restore this to solidity again, and then we can fine-tune things using our layer mask. Let me just spray a little bit like so, and then if I go to a black brush, reduce opacity to maybe 25%, and then click and spray a slightly smaller brush in here, we can get a hint of the autumnal colour coming through the hair, just to get a gentle blend between the hair and the background. Okay, I'm not trying to lose too much of the hair there, and if you think you sprayed out a bit of hair you need to keep, then swap the foreground colour around again, and then just click and spray, and then make that bit a little bit more solid. So we've got a few strands still visible there. So it's a bit of a fine tune, but that helps us reveal a little bit of the autumnal background through the hair, and does the job that the Refine Edge tool couldn't do. Let me just Control minus to zoom out, hit tab to get rid of the floating windows, and you can see there now that it looks like the girl is now standing in front of the autumnal background. Now to turn the blue coat red, what we're going to do is click here to create a new hue saturation adjustment layer, and this is a much easier way than selecting it with the selection tool. Simply go to the cyans, type in a hue of 154, and then pop down to the blues and do the same, and that just targets those specific colours and creates a nice russet red coat. You can click there to close the adjustment layer, then just press Ctrl E to flatten the layers down, press it again, and if you zoom right in you'll notice there's a hint of blue reflection on the chin from the original coat, which is a telltale giveaway that we've edited the shot. So let's create a new layer. Let's grab the brush tool again, let's alt click to sample some healthier skin, make sure you're on the actual background layer to do that, there we go, and then top layer again, set the blending mode to colour, and then what we should be able to do is just to get a larger brush tip there and gently spray over the blue, just very subtly like so, and that will give us a little bit of a warmer section to the reflection. It's a bit too strong, so we need to take the opacity down to a more subtle effect, just to take the edge off the blue. And then if you turn this on and off, you can see there's the blue reflection. Turn it on again and the blue has disappeared. And talking of colour temperature and blueness, let's just press Z to right click and choose fit on screen. Move this out of the way for a second and zoom in on the hands. They're a little bit sort of cool. I think we can actually restore a little bit of warmth to those using a photo filter adjustment layer. So let's click here, photo filter. That gives us a warming filter. Now we're really only wanting to warm up these cold hands, so what we're going to do is keep the settings like so. You can see if I turn them on and off, that's warming the hands up quite significantly, but it's also warming the rest of the face. So I'm going to Control I to inverse the mask, grab the brush tool, grab white, and then if I just spray over the mask, we can just warm up these areas selectively without warming up the already warm looking shot. So that's a great way of targeting colour temperature change to these rather cold overexposed hands, just to warm them up and give them a healthier looking skin tone. There we go, Z for the zoom tool, right click and fit on screen. So there's our edited shot. And finally I'm just going to pop up to layer and flatten the image, and then I'm going to go and sharpen it by going to filter, sharpen and smart sharpen. And if we click here and use 95%, 1.5 pixels, you'll find when you click to see the before, let go to see the after, you've got much more detail around delicate areas like the eyelashes. Click OK to apply the change, and then we'll hit tab to get rid of the floating windows, and there's our photograph ready for printing.